Hello and welcome to episode 12 of our Timberborn 1.0 Waterbeavers playthrough, cycle 12, day 15. We've got a lot of good progress the last couple episodes, and I think we're finally in a spot where a lot of stuff has gone really, really well for once. But we have a couple things we want to take care of before we dive in too much here. One of the first things I want to address is, yes, we do have bad water bucketing posts that are basically never going to be able to bucket bad water again, so bye-bye, go do something else. And then I asked you guys last episode what you'd like me to do about this area, and a couple of really good ideas were presented. This forester can go away because we don't need to have basically anything else over here until the rest of time. And we had a couple options with the harvester's cottage and the zipline station here. Because this is a tower building, there are some other things that could go here. Like, for example, an irrigation tower was proposed. I don't know that we really need or want to have an irrigation tower here because this is probably always going to be wet enough because there's water under it. But I had proposed last episode about putting a harvester's drying tower on top of this, and most of you agreed that that was excessive with the harvester's cottage already. So what we can do instead, once I remember where it is put on a hauler's tower upgrade, which will fit, assuming I remember exactly which way this has to go, will fit, come on, there it goes, right there. That would be a very useful building. It employs 10 hauler beavers, gives them a nice plus 200% carrying capacity, and also, well, just fits in a pretty good spot, and being connected to a zipline station is an extremely efficient use of space. So I think I want to do that. Then we have all this over here. We have all these pit and ladder lodges that have the hauler's tower segments paused. We really shouldn't be doing that. So we may end up maybe demolishing and rebuilding some of this. I don't know. That's not a priority at this exact moment in time, but I did want to let you guys know that this is what we're going to do over here. We have this paused because we do not want them to immediately absorb the fancy blueprints for the zipline system, which are currently being cooked up at the Architect's Lodge. Got 82% of the way there. Once that is done, it's going to have to go to our Artist's Lodge, which is conveniently on the very top of the Architects, and they're going to have to walk up and down, which I'm sure they all love that. Absolutely no notes there. But they're going to fancify that, and then the fancified one's going to go to the Copyist Lodge, and then the ones that are copied have to be fancified again, because, you know, multiple layers of bureaucracy, that's how everything works, apparently. But once we have at least 2 fancy blueprints, one of those is going to go over here, and it's going to go into the zipline station, and then we can actually build everything else. At that point, we will need to start thinking about where the next zipline station should go. And I believe it would behoove us to have something closer to the top up here. And depending on what we want to do about, utilizing this area for growing things, it may be to our benefit to put an irrigation tower up here. Or we could just expand this to do more irrigation and instead figure out a combination of zipline tower and some other triangle building up here. There's a bunch of other triangle buildings we haven't really messed with. I wanted to say there was one to do with... okay, it wasn't mining. Which one was it? There was one of these kind of industrial-ish ones that was going to be kind of useful. See, logging just doesn't make sense up here. But anyway, we have some time to think about it. But for this to really be useful, we're going to want to have more than one zipline station sooner rather than later. So why don't we continue taking a look here? Obviously, we just have the standalone. That's always fine. We have the upgrade module that can go on top of a pair of buildings, which we don't really have set anywhere yet. Then we also have the large farmhouse add-on. We already talked about that. And then the zipline pylons that float with the help of methane, which we cannot do. So, we have the irrigation lodge, which does count as a small tower, so that wouldn't really be a great thing to pair with one of these zipline stations. But, don't forget, we have the upgrade module, and while that does take 200 science, if we had another building, a triangle building we wanted to put here, that might not be a bad thing to do. This would need to be set back one more block to be able to use in this exact location. It doesn't have to go here. Just an example of one of those things that we could eventually do something with. Just got some stuff to think about. I actually don't know. I don't think there was a zipline station combined with a district center. And to my knowledge, all the zipline stuff is contained here, and this is basically what we already have unlocked, ready to go. So we will come back to that at some point in time. Just need to make sure we keep our eyes on this. Let's see. Oh, this is another thing we wanted to talk about. We already had 3 of these set to make chestnut beer, which, hey, that's fine. I don't really see a reason to get rid of these because, you know, we have the fermentation house. We're already making chestnut beer. The issue now seems to be water more than anything else, which brings us to another logical discussion point. The medium tank for 120 science was something that I talked about for a long time that we wanted to put in, and I kept getting distracted by shiny objects, which is bound to happen from now and then. But this needs to be one of the next things we unlock. How are we going to do that when we're making a ton of science? Well, these guys need brain-stimulating mushrooms. This is making brain-stimulating mushrooms extremely slowly, so it may be to our benefit at this exact moment to probably see about swapping this over to the efficient science recipe, which we don't have to change it to take a look. It uses the same stuff, except the, what do you call it, brain boosting salts that we do have a little bit of, and green peas, which we have, you know, only 10, so that's probably not a great idea. But that would allow us, because it's 4 science per recipe, it would allow us to get about 60-ish, 50 to 60-ish science with what we currently have done here. Obviously, we'd need some more green peas. But green peas are growing here. And I'm not actually convinced that I only have 10. But to be perfectly honest, I also haven't thought about green peas in a very long time. And I don't even know where they are. Probably in some storage way far away that I said, oh yeah, that's going to be a great idea. And then I, you know, completely forgot about it. So that is something we can think about. But for now, since we don't really have a lot of this stuff, it might make more sense for us to take this down to, say, a single worker. And make sure that we can accrue enough brain-stimulating mushrooms to actually do this without dominating all these other things that maybe we'd be better served having beavers in. So right now, with 1 beaver working, it's 12 hours to consume 2 brain-stimulating mushrooms. And right now, assuming all else equal, these are being made at a rate of 1 every 2 hours. So that would allow us to get a little bit of a stockpile, not completely stop the science, but maybe distribute them to some other locations that might be more appropriate to use them. 90% looking okay there. I'm just trying to think of as many spots as possible where it would make sense to put a zipline station. Now, the Forester is a small tower that can support upgrades. And this wood felling planification lodge is, in fact, a building that can also be used, or can be replaced, with a lumberjack's barn. And this is a larger building, yes, but the profile is still the same for upgrades. And if we wanted to put one of these here, then we absolutely could. We would end up technically losing a couple of spaces for the sake of tree growing. But remember, we were going to get rid of some of these anyway here. I suppose I should maybe stay on top of this just a little bit better. But, you know, that's kind of the trade-off I make doing these videos. I can't be everywhere all at once and also narrate what's happening, because nobody would want to watch an hour and 30 minutes of complete silence, just game sounds here. That's not compelling content, and whether or not this is compelling content remains to be seen. But I digress. I think it's going to make sense for us to replace this wood felling planification lodge with, what a great name, planification. I love that. With a lumberjack's barn. The bonuses are the same. The only difference is that this is a triangle roofing building and has a slightly more expensive recipe. So, we've got 421 logs. I think it's probably safe. Maybe we want to relocate this just a tiny bit. so I can take advantage of the way that this is set up. I need to take a look at this again. Because I know there's a setback you have to do so that the roofing things line up. I want to say, yeah, that should be okay. So, what's going to happen is this is going to move to here, and that's going to slide over 2 spots. We can still do everything more or less where it already was going, and we should be mostly okay. We're going to give it a shot. I'm not going to, necessarily remain steadfastly married to this, but I think that's going to be important for us to make steps toward. We know this isn't going to go just straight across, nor is that a particularly useful path, but if we wanted to, do a ring around the crater here or have a stop on the... there you go. The Island of Knowledge, not the Knowledge of Island. That's not how that works. There might be a way for us to put a zipline station here. It doesn't necessarily have to be an upgrade thing either. That's not a steadfast rule. But it's smart to take advantage of such things when you have the ability to do so. So we're going to keep our eyes on that. Probably, we're still really low on cabbages for some reason. I know why. I know what the reason is. Let's see. Tools are running low. What are we making here? Tools? Okay, well that's fine. We really want to get moving toward... It's not a factory, it's a workshop now. We want to get moving toward one of those pretty soon. Which, brings me to a good time to discuss this. We have these things. Geothermal engines, and I've spent a decent amount of time attempting to figure out how to get these up the cliff and not be completely stupid. Now that we have dynamite, and now that, people are starting to suggest other stuff, I had the thought, along with some of these people, what if we just, blasted straight down, and then just took it straight up with these vertical power shafts once we unlock those, because we also are able to make scaffolding. I think long-term that's probably going to be the best way to do it. Makes the cliffside a little bit less complicated, and should be something we can look into. Just want to put that out there. So one, that I know, and two, gets it in my mind, in the flow of whatever nonsense happens. Outside of that, it's probably going to be a good idea for us to build storage for berries and chestnuts over here, since that's going to be what happens in most of this space. So why don't we take a moment right now, see if I can get this figured out, because I don't necessarily want to have this space taken up with a building when I could use it instead to have, a couple more chestnut trees. I can't plant them without a forester there, and that is why those were there, but I can unplant these, and eventually that's going to get, some sort of something taken care of. For storage options now, we do have the medium warehouses that can have stuff built on top of them. I don't want to have these things flooded, but we also could unlock pit warehouses if we felt like it. I think best thing we can probably do, this is a tremendous quantity of berry bushes. And for now, I don't think I need to be made to feel bad for getting rid of 4 bushes here to just put a storage right here and just be done with it. Just make it convenient, make it simple, and then move on with our lives. I do want to make sure I don't want to block these zipline things when we do get around to that, but I don't think that is an issue for right now. I think that's something that we just need to just do something before it is too late. Let's get those berry bushes out of there, and then I will pop this thing in. This one, of course, will be for berries, because the chestnuts are going to take 800 years to grow in. Where are the berries? There are the berries, and the harvester's cottage is already able to harvest the berries, even though these are not currently really available for harvesting. But that's going to help solve that. And I know the suggestion was to put it over the water, but to be perfectly honest, 6 of these missings are not going to do that much damage long term. And we can always do something somewhere else to make up for that. I think overall things are looking okay. I've got 6 beavers in here getting saltpeter, and I know we're going through saltpeter at some decent clip. I just don't remember which buildings are actually using it. Another thing to consider is now that this can get pumped up a lot higher, we might not need this to be an irrigation lodge anymore. We could put something else here. What was going here? Crappy warehouse for chestnuts. I know I do need chestnut storage, but I already have one there. That's going to be fine for that. These were empty. What was this one? Sunflower seeds? Yeah. Just my brain's going to do what my brain's going to do. That's just the way it goes. These guys need to cut down, but they're still working on some of these other things. Do I want to hasten the construction of this? I probably don't need to, in all honesty, and it's only 13 days to grow a tree. I think that's going to be okay. Just let these guys do. Do I have 4 beavers in here? I do. Okay. What's really funny about this is we still haven't accumulated that many brain-stimulating mushrooms in the library itself, but we do have a little bit of a backstock at 11, if you want to call it that. What's our 99%? Okay. Well, it's the end of the day now, so we might as well just get this fast-forwarded through. Food and water are both looking pretty good at this point. And then we just need to get all these individual tiny projects, not necessarily wrapped up, but touch base, to borrow a term from the corporate world. This is working fine. This would have been a great place for us to put a lumberjack's barn, and in fact, I may end up doing that because this would be a great place to have a zipline go to. But I want to see this tick over to 0. There it goes. And then I need that to go in there. And we need to put this back immediately on making scaffolding. Now I've got a fancy blueprint that immediately... Look how fast these beavers are. It's going in here, and it looks like we're waiting on paper. Which will come to absolutely no one's surprise. It should eventually make its way over here. I know we do have a little bit more paper hanging out somewhere. But then that brings us back to this, which is, 5 hours for a sheet of paper. Is what it is. Am I still making dynamite? Yeah, I think we can safely pause this for now. Just to help our paper cause. Because I really need this to be done. I really need them to get enough paper to make these. And then, for right now, we can just pause this. Because it's not a mission-critical piece of infrastructure. It's just, for right now, I need it. But I'm not going to need it until I have a need for more blueprints and can research other stuff, which we're not there. Yeah, I just need that fancy one to get popped in here, and then I can turn that construction site back on. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead now. What is the 33%? All right, let's unplant here and here and here. That's at 75, 90, 98. Tell you what. I'm not going to be made to feel bad about this, so let's take that out. Let's replace this with a lumberjack's barn. Should occupy about the same space minus... Well, yeah, we got unharvested trees. We don't need to wait for this. We don't need to wait for this. We don't need to wait for this over here either. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Just do it, etc. Let's get this out of here. Of course, they're going to take their sweet time on it, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, the zipline upper thing is going to make perfect sense over here once we have the science for it. And don't think I've forgotten about the 120 science for the tanks either. We're going to get there too. That is the tilde key and not the... Alright, so that's going to go bye-bye. Give me the lumberjack's barn. And then that rotates to there. And now... Assuming I've managed not to do anything incorrectly. This is just to check placement. That's not the right building. Just to check placement, I'm going to... Was it on this side? Yeah, that's going to be great. Also, that's really tall, which is going to help us get over this cliff here. I love this. This is a great addition. And that's also going to be fantastic for us to take care of as well. Okay. Time to get this out of here. Forester goes here. This cannot be flipped because obviously. And then the lumberjack's barn goes right next to it. I forgot about this one. Okay. We're making progress today, boys and girls. I love it when a plan comes together. Yes, I do. Okay, I see a fancy blueprint. Does that mean... No, I actually thought they'd already done that. Oh, no, they already did. They already did. Okay, well. That can now be paused. Because as long as I have more than one fancy blueprint, which I should momentarily, then I can do the construction. I just have to make sure that I always have n+1 quantity of fancy blueprints, where n is the number of buildings I'm attempting to build that use that blueprint. Just show me this number at 2, and we're going to be in good shape. I do think, since I know you watch these videos, because you always leave a nice comment after every one, our dear mod creator friend, that it would be a really cool thing to have, maybe as a function of the library or the ENS or some like expansion building, that would just be a blueprint repository, like an archive thing, where it just stores one and it never leaves. They can just duplicate from that. But also, that seems like it'll be a little easy, and the Waterbeavers is supposed to be about suffering, so you do what you want. That would be kind of a neat thing. Just to, you know, prevent idiots from making mistakes like, you know, me. But that's going to get that taken care of there. I need to go ahead and get that tank unlocked, because that I've been talking about forever and ever and ever. Okay. Medium tanks. The many of you who suggested we put water tanks on top of the pumps, that is exactly what I'm going to do, and to help us with that, we're going to put in, assuming I don't have to... I do have to research that. That's 100 science. But that just flattens the thing there. So we don't have to unlock that right now to use this. But let it be known that is my eventual goal. We're going to move that billboard. I'm going to start by putting... I think I can build 2 of these. No problems. Water pump upgrade board. I obviously know how that works because it's done. Let's... I had to hunt for the water hose. That's pretty bad. Let's just get these built here. That's going to free up a little bit of space here. I just need to have stairs to get up to this point. Now, where are the stairs going to go? Well, in theory, the you know, the small plank tanks that are absolutely everywhere do not have to stay absolutely everywhere. We just need to be able to get up to this area. Now, there's a couple ways we can do this. We can build crappy platforms all the way across. We can't stack those, but we can, on top of the crappy platforms, I believe, put regular platforms. Maybe it has to be the other way around. That's an option. Or, depending on how we want to do this, we could use, I believe, this is something I have to research, but the double rope stairs I've always thought was a really cool building. I was really excited for that when I saw that Waterbeavers was getting updated. I just have to figure it... Yeah, okay, so this shows you how it works. You can build basically something that doesn't have any ground contact except at the very ends, which would help us get over the path here. But it would also require that I have a path cut through this way. The easiest thing to do is probably to just have the double tall platforms, which I have not researched, or some combination of other buildings on top of this that would still use a little bit of this space, but would vastly increase our efficiency of having storage for things. So, I think, I know I've been doing a whole lot of talking, just bear with me here. I think what might make sense, that's very loud, is to just put regular crappy platforms down. We have tons of wood. It's not going to be that big of an issue to get more wood. And right now I don't have the science to get the scaffoldings, but if we just put platforms right across all of this, get that done, then we can have little storages here, and then we can have other storages on top of that going the other way, or what have you, and then still make use of the same, roughly the same amount of space. And then finally, at the very top, have other stuff here. So this is 8 wide. We don't necessarily have to have this be 8 wide. This liquid storage house also probably can go away and become maybe another pump. But for right now, I already have homeless beavers, so I don't think we want to be tempting fate too much. That has to be finished. That has to be finished. This house has to be finished to help us with most of what we're doing. I think we're okay. This is still making platforms. That's fine. I've got... Why do they only have 2 fancy blueprints? Oh, they're holding them hostage in here. And it's a paused building, so it's not going to transfer without another spot for it to go. All right. We got a lot of stuff for these builders to do that they're not doing. You know, I haven't checked in a while. Okay, good. I do have 4 beavers doing that. Do I have any of these paws that are builders? They're all haulers. Okay, what about... okay, that's a hauler. Do I have any of these? Oh, hey, bobbing about. Do I have any of these that are not paws that are for builders? That is for haulers, builders. Okay, and that one... Hey, redneck. That is 3 out of 3. All right. Well, we could use some builders. Well, like I said, I might end up just demolishing this tower and redoing it because it's honestly not that good. Oh, hey, this is done. That's fun. They obviously can't reach this either because of reasons we've already established. If I make this, I'm trying to figure out in my mind what is going to make the most sense. Maybe put another set of pumps here. Because eventually, you know, long enough timeline, we're going to have to replace these with the upgraded pumps. The deep water pumps, which do a lot faster pumping, 0.25 hours for one versus 0.33 for one. Big upgrade. For now, I don't think we need to worry about it. I also think, because these are still pumping, we have like 2.5 days, and there's no possible way this is going to be emptied out. I think it's going to make sense for us to at least get this started. I'm going to take those 3 out. We have all these little storages here. If we just make... first of all, we have to research the small warehouse so we can, you know, actually stack on top of it. But we make provisions for this. I just need to have 30 science. It won't be that hard to get to. Just start the process of getting this up here, and then I can put on top of that medium warehouses. And then on top of that, we already talked about this. Just have to be careful how I'm going to do this. I think for right now, we can kind of modularize this. I can unplant these 2. I'll show you how I'm going to do that in just a second to make this make sense. I think I can get away with that. I should probably... No, you know, I don't think it's going to let me do that. Oh, I keep forgetting I don't have the overhang walkway unlocked. Maybe what I should do is just... Yeah, I'll just build a crappy platform. Anyway, we got enough other stuff going on. I don't need to sit here and talk about that. Okay, we've got enough of these for me to put in the rest of these beavers now. Just let them make science faster. That's going to solve some problems. That's done. Very exciting stuff. I don't think I need to have a hauler thing there. Did I unlock the hauler upgrade? I don't think I did. I did not. 50 science. We'll do that later. I do realize the, well, it's probably not really irony, but people use that word in ways that it doesn't actually apply, so I'm just going to continue doing that. Of unlocking the medium tanks before I can even reach them to build them. Yes, haha, very funny. Oh, this needs to be attached to the pathway. Let's do that. Oh, they still haven't gotten rid of this? Come on, man. No, okay, it's the end of the workday. Oh, showed up to work. Oh, never mind, he went home. But that's going to help us out there. This can be planted as everblossoms. Make sure those are marked for cutting. And I believe this is okay. Yeah, they still have not cut down these chestnut trees, which obviously, because this is in the way and I don't have enough wood storage. Well, building enough stuff to utilize that, I think, is going to help us out in that regard. Tool storage is starting to fill up. That is fine. It's all well and good. We're getting there. I know we got some boxes and planks of water on the ground. Those will get picked up. Don't you worry about that. I'm not really that worried about this right now. Should be okay. I really just... I want to get the spiral stairs. They're going to solve so many problems if I can just get the spiral stairs. But I need the 30 science to unlock the little tiny storages. I guess there's probably some other building I could have done this with, but... It's fine. It's fine. You know, I don't remember this being functional in more than one deep water, which I guess that's kind of cool. Okay, so that's connected there. That gives me some homes for a few more beavers. And then we can eventually put another thing on top of here by way of ziplines. That's really going to help. Same deal over here. I am getting a little bit too scatterbrained to really make a ton of progress right now. I should just focus on one task. One task. All right. Small warehouses. Those go there. And what would we like to have right around here? What would be helpful? I think it would be a smart idea to have things that are annoying to find little storages for that we aren't making large quantities of. Like, for example, ropes, gears, maybe not pine resin, pencil sets, you know, just stuff that you have to have somewhere for it to go, but you're maybe not thinking about it quite so much. Medium warehouse up here is probably going to need to be something that's actually important, like maybe a food item. I only have 36 cabbage storage. That is probably something we should have more storage of. Oh, I have no mushroom storage. Okay. Well, that might not be a perfect spot for mushroom storage, but I'm going to just let it be what it's got to be. Let's put a crappy platform there. Preemptively place a pathway there. Cabbage, I'm sorry, but it's time for you to go bye-bye. And then this is going to get a staircase to the top. Come on, there we go. And I know this is going to be a very annoying process to get up here without having the spiral stairs, so I'm probably not going to do it till the spiral stairs become available. But, oh, okay, that just got planted. No. 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 We're not gonna do that. I'll just put a crappy platform here, and then I'll spiral stairs up to the top here, and that'll give us easy access to that tank. And then we can, you know, at some point, continue putting this in. I just need to have some of this accessible before it's too late. Yeah, they are picking up the water off the ground and putting it back in tanks, which is an amazing process where solids get converted into liquids. It's really, really fascinating. If you can't tell, that's massive sarcasm. But now it is cycle 13, which means it is time to turn on the aquifer drill, get this pumped back up. Let these guys continue on the path of whatever it was they were doing. Chestnut beer and a strong alcohol storage was full. This would be a great place to have more storage. If only I had a place to put it. We'll get that figured out. There's a lot of improvements that we want to be making here, if we can at all help it. They're still not getting. Yeah, I gotta have these guys have more places for wood to go. I know we just have these little piles right here. Water beavers, unlike the base game, water beaver storage is pretty much directly tied to the amount of space it takes up until you get to the crazy ones. So there isn't really any benefit to us putting in a large pile in this area versus a small pile. It's still the same amount. It's 180 taking up 9 spaces versus 20 taking up 1. You can do that math. It's not hard. It's the same. So while we have the extra space here because trees aren't planted, there's no reason to take any more to get a benefit of better efficiency, whatever. Actually, I can hit the duplicate button. I'm just going to put a couple more of these little things here because we can, and slowly increase our capacity. Really would love to have a regular paper mill at some point when we get there. 22 science, we're going to get somewhere. This will get moved at some point, but for now, it's about what we've got. Just about what we've got. And until I can't stack these here, obviously, but until we can get something else figured out, I'll probably just figure out some way to bridge that. This is a big pile for sunflower seeds that really shouldn't be right here. This is kind of prime real estate for this. So, sunflower seeds are mostly being picked over here. That storage for paper there is not horrible, but if I had remember the seeds have to go in a pile now, not a warehouse. If I had the large industrial pile, then that would be a great thing to stick in this general area, but I don't. Not yet, so we don't need to be worried about that. Let's kind of leave this mostly alone for the time being. We don't really need storage because it just gets used a lot. And those are chestnuts, not the sunflower seeds. Yeah, we're using those so fast I don't even really have any in storage. Okay, berries. Berries are the limiting factor. Oh, okay, berries and kimchi and sunflower seeds. Bramble flowers. Of course, I forgot. Or as the kids say, I forgore. I don't even know if they still say that. We gotta get over here and get this set up. Which, hey, guess what? Remember when we did this? And then when we did this? Well, guess what, boys and girls? We have a space over here to do that. And I think, based on the amount of bramble flowers we are almost certainly going to need, this spot right here, should we have the ability to place something literally anywhere, might actually be a good choice for one of those. And then I don't think an irrigation tower makes sense, so maybe that could just be a good what's the word? Zipline. Yeah, there you go. How did you forget the word zipline? Look, it's complicated. But this 3 here, if I just, I'd have to build this in a slightly different spot. Well, we have the ability to get this done. It's just a question of am I going to remember in time to fix things, or is it just going to be a problem? Zipline here would have a little bit of an issue with angle accessibility. If I did the zipline tower, that would obviously be better, but I'd have to find a small tower building to put here. And honestly, I don't know that there's a great one. This is a tower upgrade for haulers, tower upgrade for builders. Builder lodge obviously is not what we're looking for. I think tower-wise, there's not really that many options besides a forester, which we don't need over here. The forge is also another triangle roof building that we probably should be using in all honesty, because this is, yeah, that takes just the same anvil, and I think it's, let's just compare. Okay, the recipes are identical, but this supports upgrades and also houses beavers. So we'll probably end up using one of those at some point. Maybe I'll rebuild somewhere else. Anyway, I have to find a tower is what I was getting at. Scavenger's Junkyard has a zip line net. Oh boy, oh boy. You know what's really funny is, like, this was directly mentioned in a comment at least 3 or 4 times. But this is just straight up a great thing to have, the Scavenger's Junkyard. You can connect to a pit and ladder lodge. Okay, well, if I have one of these over here in this general area, or even up here, that would give us a pretty easy connection to a zipline tower used as a base. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. Wild brambles are going to be eliminated one way or the other. I just need them to be able to get removed, and I'm always going to forget about it. Let's just, you know, humor me for a moment here. Not like you really have an option. You could always just X out of the video if you really wanted to, but we're gonna stick with this, and I'm gonna do my absolute best to get this started over here to be something we can actually utilize. The brambles have to be tamed. They absolutely must be tamed. And it just takes a real long time. And this is slowly filling up. And now that we're getting this just a little bit more organized, I think it's going to slowly improve. I hate cheesing this. I really do. However, I honestly feel like it's the only way to reasonably prevent this. They can't plant these. That's the only reason I'm putting those in. But it does reserve the space. Forgive me for the cheese, or don't. I'm not your dad. But there's literally no way this is happening otherwise. Not a chance. Not a single chance. They can't even reach this as a, yeah, they can't reach that as a, what do you call it? So, I know. Use your words. They can't reach that as foresters, so they have to reach it as demolishers. We're almost there. Almost there. Just bear with me here. Then we can start putting the actual buildings in, and it will be a lot less irritating. Oh, but now it's overnight time. Okay, let's just leave that alone. Okay, I need to have 120 science to get the spiral staircase. They've picked up all the water off the ground. We saw them doing that. That's fine. See, all this is working slowly. Slowly. Yep, that's doing well. I think we can feel pretty good about this. Maybe not great, but pretty good. The hardest part of the playthrough is done, which is the initial survival and making sure that, you know, horrible things aren't going to happen. And I do think this is still a better map for water. It's not an easy map, but it's a better map than the last one we picked. This one is at least interesting beyond, oh hey, neat map. It gives us an opportunity to do some problem solving and figure out just you know, a couple other things. All right, so that now is enough space for us to begin. I'm just going to hit pause before this gets super ugly. Okay, those could be rotated. I need this to stay here so I can actually finish building, but long term these two are going to go away, or they could be storages. I might leave them for that. But now I need to unplant, and then I need to put these things in. Remember I said I was going to put the zipline tower in. We do have another zipline fancy blueprint. This one's already built, so I don't need to panic about that. There you go there. And then a lumberjack barn right there. Get those paths installed. Let's just have that go across. I guess it doesn't really matter which path it takes. It just needs to be there. And then, you know, since these are already here, why not? Why not? Wait a second. These don't go in piles. They go in warehouses, which we can either crapify or we can do something else. For right now, let's just do this. Where are you? There you are. Eventually, I probably am going to want to make this a bigger warehouse, but for right now, I think it's fine. All right, so this is going to help. This is going to be great. What do we put on top of this? Probably long-term should be a hauler's lodge or the tower upgrade. We could do a builder upgrade. No, those are already correct. I don't think we need to do that. Hauler's upgrade makes sense. It is 50 science for right now. I think the science is better spent on the spiral stairs, and those are going to help us in other places too. But this is really going to open up our options for, you know, farming our brambles here. Super easy. This also probably should have a staircase here. Let's do that. Let's put that here. And then I can connect this here, and then we can remove that and remove the fence and all that. Just have to take it one step at a time and make sure that you don't, you know, forget about stuff you said you were going to do and then leave it in limbo and then nothing gets done. You wonder why nothing's done, and then you have to face the facts that you are, in fact, a menace to your own beavers. But they keep coming back, mostly because they have no choice. So I guess it's fine. How close are you? 60-some%. All right. We're getting there. We're getting there. Just, please finish. No, okay, never mind. You're 82%. Now I do have to come back and look at that. So we can't forget. Can't forget. I have to just constantly remind myself that is working. That's working. Could probably still use a decent bit of other stuff. How are we looking on... Okay, so this is actually... It's actually decent. They're just slow. Alright, we're going to get it taken care of. We're going to get it taken care of. Probably should just rename this episode Stare at Nothing While They, you know, Remove Brambles. But we're going to be okay. Going to be okay. Let's just come in here, grab this. Come on. Come on. Click on... Thank you. 80-some%. Get that finished, and then we'll put the stairs in. And there we go. And there we go with the stairs. Let's get that connected pathwise. Not that it's really going to make a huge difference, but at least that's a proper path. We can get these slowly removed. Let's also mark this entire bit here. Unmark various bits and pieces. A couple people made comments that I should have left more of these unmarked for cutting, which, you know, I'll give you that. Probably don't need to have a ton of them left unmarked. But it also, you know, probably helps to have more than a couple that can be used to still spread things. Alright, so that's working there. I know the zipline can't go anywhere. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. I'd like to. I have no idea if it's going to be feasible, but I'd like to have ziplines actually operating today. Just have to get a little bit more science. No, I don't have to worry about that quite so much. I just need another 50-something science to get this done. Oh, how far away am I from having the paper mill? 250 science. Okay, well, we got power up here. That's not going to be a problem. I don't need to keep the screw press. So maybe the paper mill could go... Ah, no, because this one has... The of course it does. The power goes into the 3rd floor. I always forget how devious this is. We will figure it out. This is also going to flood if I don't keep good care of managing this. So I think for now I'll keep that paused. We can unpause it later. This probably also needs to be expanded with the Lido and all that. We do have dynamite. The only problem with putting a Lido in here is that it's gonna be bad water at some point, but I don't remember if... Because remember in Waterbeavers, the Lido is actually an irrigation device, because that's the only place you can put a fluid dump. I don't know if the fluid dump can actually keep it full enough to prevent bad water from coming in. That being said, I do really like the idea of using this as a Lido as well. I just don't know exactly which way I'd want to orient this. Because you can't build a Lido on top of the water seep itself. It has to have the clear space underneath. So if I were to blast this out, I know I'm going to have to either go straight out here or... Yeah, probably couldn't do it any other way than going straight out here, which wouldn't really grant that much plantable space. It would grant some, to be perfectly clear. But, you know, okay, it's free. It's already, well, it's not free, it costs materials, but it's already unlocked. And that does give us another project to just go ahead and do. So that is what I will go ahead and do. Then we will, of course, have to move this path just a little bit. I think we can feel okay about that. Yeah, let's just make this our little side quest for the time being. Okay, for kaboom. And then... Oh, okay, you know what? That is... I think we gained more spaces than we lost by exploding, so... That's not the right one. Come on. Alright. One of these days I'm going to remember where everything is. Lido, Lido, Lido. Right here. And then, since we're already in the spot where that's going to be a thing, let's just pop that thing in there. Give us a little bit of recreation, and maybe keep this full enough. I do want to automate this at some point. This says close above depth at spillway 0.9. This only shuts off at 1, or maybe just like slightly below 1. Thank you, autosave. I think for now, I'm going to leave this at... You know what? No, I'm going to leave it at 0.9 because that's what it was. I was told that automation isn't actually that unreasonable for us to get to pretty soon because most of the stuff like, see, flow sensor, depth sensor especially, contamination sensor, it's not, once we have decent science set up, not that expensive, and the quartz of course, comes from the medium mine, which, if you are not familiar, has to be tunneled, or not tunneled, but has to be blasted out, or you have to find an appropriately sized chasm and just expand it. That's where we get our quartz from. And it also helps us get other things. There is also a water, there's a water recipe if you're truly desperate. And we're not that far from having one. We probably should at some point. I think for now, I'm going to pause. Wait, why does... Hold on. Why does the fluid dump have 6 worker slots? Why does the fluid dump have 6 worker slots? That's interesting. That is, in fact, very interesting. It can be functioning without workers. I'm going to leave this alone for now. We have to remember that that's there, but I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, this is working. This is gone. This is gone, 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 gone. I guess I could leave those stairs there, and I guess I could just leave this like it is. Are these marked for cutting? They are, except those. And I want to leave that one unmarked. The rest of this seems to be okay. Zipline's going to make this a little bit more efficient. We'll probably have to put the junkyard whatever here. Man, anyone remember that show Junkyard Wars from like 20, 25 years ago? That was awesome. Even if it was absolutely, completely fake. I don't know. I like stuff like that. It was neat. 112 science. Are we going to... We have berries, yeah, okay. So we should at some point pretty soon have the spiral stairs. I know, a very, very, very long process getting to this point. Appreciate your patience. And I know I could have put another one here, but I think I might have ideas for a couple other things that could go in this spot. Depending on when we get the end pieces unlocked. Just 4 more science. 4 more science and I can make spiral stairs, and that solves so many problems. 2 more science. 2 more science. Show me the money. There we go. Alright. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Build the stairs, ready to go. That's going to really be nice having that. Then I think I could probably go ahead and mark these for emptying. And then continue the process of... Well, they just sucked that thing completely dry. Continue the process of building other stuff underneath. There's all sorts of other spots we can put things. Making progress. Oh, we need more mushrooms. I always forget about the mushrooms. Okay, we will have to do that, won't we? Alright, just logs and water. Mushrooms would make a lot of sense to have them being planted over here. And if I don't need to have a pit tank here, because that is objectively not really a great spot for that, I think, let's see, I've got 3. Okay, so that one wouldn't really work there. Thinking. This also isn't a great spot. Maybe I shouldn't be in such a hurry to get all these things completely moved somewhere else. But this probably should be used to grow things and not, you know, mushrooms, because those can go anywhere. Just, I don't want them to be super far away from water, because that's going to be annoying, and there are also components in the food that is being made here. But if we had a lot of haulers, which technically we kind of do, that would solve that problem. I don't know. It's really not that big of a deal like I sometimes make it out to be, but I feel like I'm duty-bound to not be stupid about it. We are out of Fago. That's not acceptable. Oh, okay, they're brewing it. That's fine. Chestnut beer is here. This is still paused. It probably doesn't have to be. But I also don't really need dynamite that bad. What is this making rope? Okay, that's fine. Pencil sets, we're going to need more at some point. Other than that, there's not really much else I can do. And there's probably not that much harm to having this just working. Nitroglycerin is full. Let's go ahead and make some more brain boosting salts. We're going to want alchemists for every single recipe at some point. We just have to get there. This is 21, 7... 0%. Maybe. No, I don't think I want to mess with that. So many indecisions. Because I want to make more kimchi. I feel like we definitely need to make more kimchi. But it just takes so stinking long. 3 days. I don't want to build a fermentation house for this either. Maybe I should just change these over to be making kimchi. Because the beer is already being made here in the house. And I've still got lots of chestnuts. Well, this one, for sure, because it had nothing going for it, I can probably get away. I know there's no storage for all those things over there. It's not going to be that big of a deal. This is emptying out. This is empty out. Alright, so I've got storage for rope. No lamp oil or bombs. No one's going to understand that. Why did you say that? The gears, pencil sets. Just, you know, shoot first, ask questions later. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? I don't really want to have food storage here. Wait, is that a satchel? It is. Where is the satchel made? That feels like a handicrafter's... Alright, I gotta pause or I'm gonna lose my mind. That is not a handicrafter's lodge. Seamstress. Oh! Oh, that would be a good thing to go ahead and get going, though, because shoes and satchels are both well-being improvements. So let's future-proof. Let's future-proof. Satchels. Sandals, not shoes. I'm sorry. Frosty pillows. Yes. Very handy when it's extremely, four-letter word censored hot outside. Maybe, yeah, you know, clay storage. There's also clay stuff here. I know I can't make frosty pillows for a long time, but I like the idea of the beavers having frosty pillows. So there you go. That's going to go there. That's not the right key. There we go. Medium warehouse that is currently not accessible. No, currently not accessible. Mushrooms. Don't have mushroom for the mushrooms. Get off the stage. Alright, green peas. Why not? I know they can't get to it. That's going to be fine. Long term. Ladders. But we are not, we're not in Ladder Town yet. See, I thought I was going to be so smart building these suspension bridges out like this and then just having stuff come into the side. But then I remembered, wait, what? There's no way. There's no way. Okay, well, I'm also not going to know because it doesn't attach to a path. I don't want them to actually build that. Oh, the pump noise. Overhang walkways are awesome. We don't have them yet, but when we do, we will use them. Skewer platforms are also great, but again, we do not have them. We will use them at some point. For now, and I know I've had this whole thing about, well, we don't need to get rid of all of our stuff here. 81%, 74%. It's probably, and I know this is stupid, but for right now, with how this is set up, I'm just going to put 2 more platforms, and I'm going to put a spiral stairs down to this. It won't be like that forever. That's just how it's going to be for right now. I think that's going to be fine. That is out. They're working on this. They can't reach it because this isn't done, but they're about to... Yes, they're about to get that done. Gears-wise, I probably could afford to have this turned on, making more gears. I wonder if it's time to start looking at other blueprints. I know there's been changes made to a couple things. Okay, aquifer pump blueprint. I thought that was removed. Grand Dam. What is this for? Floodgate Dam blueprint. No. That's a good one. That's a good one to have. Which is that? This one? Improved water wheel, beaver washing machine. That's a funny thing, by the way. Floodgate Dam blueprint. Yes, indeed. Floodgate dams are going to be very, very useful. I mean, we've more or less got this whole thing figured out for the time being, but I think the floodgate dam is going to be a worthwhile thing for us to pursue. So let's turn that on and get them working on it. I do think it's very funny that it just requires one worker to research this, and it takes 12 days and 12 hours versus, you know, the ENS takes less time to do, or I guess the same amount of time to do some of them. It's a smart mechanic, you know, just doing his thing all by himself. Alright, I've already said like 8 different things that I was going to do, and then I didn't do them, and now I feel bad. Alright, what am I putting on top of this? I said I was going to do a hauler's tower. How many science is the haulers? Oh, it's only 50. Okay, yeah, alright, 50 is good. But because I am a glutton for punishment, I need to 50 for the pylon. There is going to be some amount of grief given to me by the placement algorithm here. It cannot go directly this way. That is a problem. But if I can reach from one of these, yeah, you know what? You know what? I can... Oh, they can't reach that. They can reach this. This would not be a terrible spot to put this, and then put another one over here, and then connect here to here. But I'd want to have an intermediary one between. So at that point, I might as well just build a regular zipline station. But this isn't going to reach because of my placement for the other thing. Is there any of these that would reach? Something tells me the answer to that question is no. Yeah, because it's very sneaky. Very sneaky, the design here where this tower blocks, like, you know, the whole, like, 90-degree cone. Maybe a little bit more than that. I would expect nothing less from the Waterbeavers, to be perfectly clear with you. And then I also have to... This is what I'm worried about. I have to figure out how much this is going to block. So maybe I should build this first. I mean, judging by how this looks, it's like there's a cutout specifically for the zipline in the back. But this is 50 science. Is there anything going to prevent us from having 50 science? No, they're just slow, so that's fine. It's probably about time to turn this thing back on. Once again, automation is going to be something we get to at some point. Yeah, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna build the hauler upgrade here. I'm gonna put another, I need to make sure I duplicate the blueprints, but I'm gonna put another zipline station up here. I'm gonna have to put a, what do you call it, a tower here. And then probably another tower over here, depending on routing, and then I get this connected to down here, which, you know, is not a great, super useful path, but it's gonna get the network started. And, you know, at some point, that's about... Whoa, 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 hold on. Hold on, 4 connections. And it employs haulers? Oh my god. Alright, Lapon's not completely evil. This is actually really smart. This is really good. 4 connections. That is going to be a great thing to have here, because then we could use this almost as like a little bit of a hub. And then maybe this one should also, yeah, just be ziplined. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. But that's 200. We're not going to get to that for a little bit. Oh, never mind. This is already a zipline station. It can only be 1. There can only be 1. Do I want to, in that case... so many... Why is this only... Oh, okay, no, that's to make the large farmhouse connected via zipline. That's it, that's fine. I am going to have to make some choices here. Anyway, we don't have the 50 science anyway, so it's... Anyway. Stop saying anyway. Anyway, let's get this copyist lodge up and running and just continue to duplicate, because that's about all we can do. This, having the zipline station upgrade on top of a forester and a lumberjack's barn, is huge. Same thing with this, so that's okay. Just have to get those connected. I'm excited about this, folks, if you could not tell. I think this is going to be fantastic when it's done. Well, done being the operative term. It's not really ever finished, is it? Alright. The ugly 2x2 path thing with the square in the center is what it is. 99%. Come and get your 1% cabbage. Get that thing out of here so I can put another crappy platform in, so I can put a piece of path in so we can get in here and store our green peas that we're not even doing anything with. Or are the beavers just eating those? I think they're just eating those. Well, that's fine. It was always allowed. This is waiting on... Wait. Oh, I'm out of tar? How did that happen? Alright, well, let's make tar. Let's make tar. 32 science. Come on, give me 50 so I can do this, so I can do that, and I can... Oh, I need more than 50 anyway, because I have to research this for another 50. Here. Alright, zipline. Okay, I don't have to have every single one of these built with the goal of having upgrades attached to them. I do need to, you know, reassure myself of that. It's okay to just have stuff that works and is not completely 100% the best thing ever. Alright, sunflower oil can leave here. I don't have anywhere for it to go. But, you know, long term, I do want this to be a zipline station. Oh, did I see 2? I did, but it went away. Okay, so that has 5 fancy blueprints, and that... Okay. I'm really paranoid about losing my blueprints and having to redo them, because that's very annoying. This, regrettably, is too far, but it's not too far. It's only 1 far. That's, yeah, that's going to be fine. Now, this connection here... Wait a second. Oh, it's marked red, and then that's marked red, so it wasn't going to work, even though it's only 32. Ah, yes. Whoever it was that was saying, oh, he's going to flood everything. Yeah, well, you know what? You win the prize. It'll go down eventually. Not that big of a deal. What's our speed of tar here? Okay, that's working out. Very slowly, but it is working out. I got 1 in there, and I got 5 in there. I think I can safely pause both of these. Have a couple... How do I have 20 beavers with no jobs? Oh, it's because these are flooded. Never mind. Never mind. You don't have to put me in a home quite yet. Alright, drought in 3 days. Yeah, I really hope they can get this finished before it's too late. Okie dokie. Let's... Come on, 50 science. Come on, 50 science. Come on, 50 science. Haulers upgrade. Then we're probably going to want to get rid of that. Maybe rebuild them as builders or something. Or should I just build a builder's upgrade? I don't know. I don't know that I want to have... Yeah, the haulers upgrade is going to be more useful. 50 science. Build, build, build. Please and thank you. Can they actually build this from the ground, or do I have to build stairs like the previous one? Well, I don't see them... Okay, there it goes. There it goes. They're building. They are building. Very good. Alright, things are working out. Working out. Wait, the center of this has water in it? Okay, I guess that's fine. It doesn't care. Alright, now if I could only get another 42 science before the drought starts, that would be great, because I have to end this episode soon, and I really want to see zipline beavers. Okay, can I, very carefully, do I have the materials to do the fast science? I got the kimchi, I've got the berries, I've got... Well, I actually don't have any green peas. I'm not gonna switch them then. That would not go well. 3 hours for 2 science. I need another 42, so that's another... Yeah. It's another 21 iterations of this at 3 hours each. We're not getting that. I also fully understand that math is probably wrong. But it is what it is. Is there any other stuff I can harvest or not for science? besides this can take like a whole cycle. People actually, you know, got back to me about, you know, that being a bad idea, so we're not going to do that. I've collected everything nearby, at least, as far as I can tell. That's probably the best I can do. Man, that really stinks. I wanted to, I really wanted this to be functional. And I've got all, look at all these haulers I've got, man. We're in the hauler zone. That's not a real thing. Stop inventing words. Okay. This, I guess I can't place this, but I can look at my little arrow indicators. It seems to me that this is blocking too much of an upward angle. So I don't see basically any of this. Even here it's not letting me do it. So it's letting me go out, but it's not letting me go up. But it's letting me go all the way over to here, which is kind of surprising. It lets me go that way, but it doesn't let me go this way until I get to... That's not quite a 45, but... Yeah, that's kind of what I was afraid of. I may have locked myself out. Because that's not going to be accessible there. I knew something was going to come up with these zip lines. I knew it. See, a forester would not be useful here. It would be objectively kind of a bad place to put one, but that would have meant I could put... Yeah, okay, whatever. That is very frustrating. I can't do floating pylons because obviously, but maybe this one... Okay, that's gonna work there. I need to find somewhere that's in range of both of these places, and it doesn't seem like it's going to let me get away with... What do you mean I can build this? Okay. That is really smart. Putting this in like, oh, yes. Yes, please, and thank you. That is great news. If it works. I don't have the angle on it, and I don't have the distance. Alright, well, so this was probably a bad location, or I should have rotated this 90 degrees. Yeah, I don't want to rebuild it. Well, regardless, having this connected here is probably not a bad idea. Just, man, I want to see beavers on zip lines, man. Ugh. Alright, well, I guess I can lead with the, finally built the hauler upgrades. I know there's going to be a couple of you folks that are going to be ecstatic to see this thing. So, I guess it's about time to go ahead and end this episode. I appreciate you guys watching the series. I really do. I know the early episodes can be a little rough sometimes, but I do genuinely believe in what this mod is capable of doing, and I believe we can get there. It just can take a little bit of time. So, whatever it is that you are doing, please stay safe, have fun, and I hope to see you again soon in the next episode with the Waterbeavers and in that other series we're doing. If you have somehow managed to stomach what we did in the first 5 or 6 videos of that, I can't remember exactly how many I've done. But I appreciate you. You already know it, but I'm always going to say it. Whatever it is you're doing, again, stay safe, have fun. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.